Welcome to Toy Business Unboxed, your gateway to the secrets of the toy industry. Here, Jason Shea, a toy entrepreneur and expert in the field.
Every product we develop is really inspired by some of the real life experience that we have with our son.
60% of all toys last year were sold on Amazon, which is incredible.
Be passionate about it because it's a road, it's a journey.
Like when you have an idea that you think is like gonna somewhat change the world, make things better, I'd say go for it.
We'll guide you through the enchanting world of toy design, marketing, and manufacturing. Now let the unboxing begin.
Welcome back to another episode of Toy Business Unboxed podcast. Today, we're joined by Steve and Tessa, the mind behind Taji Toy, a unique 3D take on the ancient yin and yang symbol. What started out with a sketch in the college notebook has transformed into a multicolored collection of interlocking characters that really invited free play, imagination, and skill building. Thank you again for being on our podcast today, Steve.
You're welcome. Thank you all very much for having us.
So can you first share with our audience, like, what was the story behind the companies? Like, what kind of bring everything together and for you to create the current product that you guys have?
I think the story behind it was, as you said, I sketched it in my journal when I was in graduate school. And for a very long time, it just sat dormant. And more recently, as I finished my career in the corporate world and moved on and wanted to do something on my own, I picked it up and moved forward with it. I found a makerspace that I really liked. I found an engineer that I could work with that really had a great deal of knowledge and interest, and it came to life. We put it into a production sort of mode, and we moved forward with producing it right here in Texas, in the San Antonio area.
Okay. And how long does the process took you from the concept to the actual physical product?
The concept was almost 30 years ago. So as far as the development of the toy, I sketched it on a board at a makerspace pre-COVID in 2019. Mm-hmm. And more recently, in the last 2 years, was able to prototype it with the help of the folks at the makerspace, as well as put it in production. It took about 10 months, a good solid 10 months, to produce it in a manufacturing facility in an injection molding process. And so that took about 8 rounds of testing. We worked with resources offshore and made it happen.
I see. And I know you also have some actual product with you. For those of our listeners that want to see it, if you can also show how it actually look like and how does it actually work, if you can take one of the pieces.
Okay. So essentially the Taji Toys 2 halves, if you think about like a yin yang, that's the design that we're going for. And as you can see, the 2 halves are symmetrical. So they fit together just like that.
Okay. Yeah. And can you also explain the design and the reason for the hole on the product itself as well?
The hole represents that the black dot in the white side, or the white dot in the black side, which I think is classic. Mm-hmm. But in our case, there's the idea that it could be empty as well. And so it invites the person to look inside and see that there's something more than just a sphere. It actually has 2 parts, 2 hemispheres that we say, and it fits together like a glove, so to speak. And the thing that to me that the manufacturers did that I thought was super cool is that they were able to take something that the mold only makes one piece of and ultimately form a unit that is totally different. But also, I think she has some examples of, they come in 14 colors, and as such,
I mean, there's so many.
There's 91 combinations that you can make up. So it really helps people find the color combinations that really resonate for them.
I see. Okay. And because we have ball form and shape, what other, I think there's also additional skill you can also help kids to maybe perform or help with their fine motor skills. And can you also talk about some of the benefit behind the product when you're designing it?
Sure. You want to talk about that?
The idea of it being a ball in general offers open play so many opportunities for children. Just here at the Taekwondo school, I gave them the box of Taji Toys, and I didn't give them any instructions, and they came up with countless amounts of games, let alone the social realm where they can create and share and discover. The idea of open play offers so many opportunities for everybody, all ages.
And I'll add to that, like, we're not experts in toy play and open play and free play. But what we found is, as we talked to the customers and the parents and the different folks that find it fascinating, rather than looking at it from an adult perspective, like a desk toy and along those lines, we found that children know exactly what to do with it. They don't have to ask what it is. They don't have to do anything beyond just pick it up, combine it, play with it, and make up games with it. So we found that rather than sitting on a screen, which is the concern that many parents have, they're playing actively and they're playing together and they're socially engaged. And there's different styles of play. For example, they can play games with them and they can compete and collaborate, but also they can coordinate and they can come up with combinations that they like and enjoy it at a different level. Mm-hmm. The toy's kind of very undefined, and as such, they can find many different ways to enjoy playing with it.
I see. And can you also offer some of the unexpected example of different way that the kids has been playing with your product?
Yeah. So, for example, we have camp days when they don't have schools. We have a lot of time to play games. I gave the box to a group of kiddos between the ages of 6 and 10, and I told them to come up with a game. And then we would all try to play the game to see which one they like. And the one that stuck was this game that they named Taji Corral.
Okay.
We have these benches where we line them up and make basically like a corral, like a big area where the balls can't go loose. And everybody will create a Taji toy that they like. They'll pick a color combination that kind of resonates with them. Yeah. And then they'll sit in that corral, and all the kids at once will throw the balls at each other in a very, I don't want to say aggressive manner, but they put some oomph into it. And when the balls hit each other and they explode, the last ball standing is the one that wins.
Oh,
and it makes this really fun noise that the kids love. Mm-hmm. Now, the instructors love the kind of free play option, the open-minded option. Now, the noise, maybe not so much.
Okay, that's an interesting way to also use the product as well. And I think that's also make it a lot more interactive by playing it as a group. And you talk about like free play earlier, and from your perspective, and can you also talk about your background in the reason why you're in the studio today as well for our audience that doesn't know? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I started martial arts at a young age, and when we're from Ohio, so when we moved to Texas, I found this Taekwondo school. My mom found it. We fell in love, and from there I competed a lot, and I went to states and nationals, and placed nationally and regionally and stuff like that. And when I injured my knee, when I got injured, I took a step back and I started teaching. That was maybe 6 years ago. And so from there, it's expanded so much. And I found this love and passion for teaching and children. And that's why I'm here today.
I see. Okay. Thank you so much for sharing that as well. And I also want to do a follow-up on the discussion we're having about like free play. And I think especially the type of free play that involve motion. And from your perspective, why do you think it is very important for the kids today to have those free play that you mentioned earlier?
Oh, we've come into this technological era. I think it's become a trend for children to be on iPads. And we know the term iPad kid, and typically it's not a nice term. It's a term that's used for children who have low social skills and kids who can't communicate how they're feeling because they're used to just playing on an iPad. And so this idea of free play And social constructs are really important, especially when we realize that these children, some of them now, like Steve mentioned, they went through COVID. And so they didn't have that strong social bond from a young age. And so offering a game like Taji, where there are no barriers, where they can expand on what they like or things that they resonate with, is extremely important, especially when we talk about the physicality of children and teaching them that games where you run around and work are fun and are beneficial.
I see. Thank you for sharing that. And what are some of the feedback you have been getting from the parents and maybe some of the teachers or some of the retailers that you can also share?
As far as the instructors, we love the game. We think it's awesome. But the biggest constraint for us is that noise. They're loud. I'm going to dump them and you can hear what it sounds like when they hit each other.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's a strong toy. They're not going to break. And so when they hit the ground, they have that groundbreaking noise. But the parents, when we have them out on the table, the parents will just come up and start playing with them too and hang out with the kids. And I think it really brings that element of creativity. When we think about games like Building Blocks, that was a groundbreaking game. Kids still play with building blocks. And I think that Taji Toy has the ability to be in that realm.
Okay. It's very interesting as well. And I know you mentioned about, Steve mentioned about the mix and match combination. And you talk about different colors. Besides color, what other different type of combination that you also, your product also offer?
So I think on two different levels, there's duality, right? Where you're combining two different colors. There's also what I would say is a monoculture of sorts, which is black on black or white on white. And those are another combination. Beyond that, I think there's the add-on around, we have collections where we actually stylize them to different themes that many people enjoy connecting with. For example, the zodiacs, both the East and West, the Chinese zodiacs, so to speak, for example, as well as the Chinese dragons. The dragons, there's traditional cultural themes around dragons and they have meaning too. And so beyond that, there's all kinds of combinations that you can make overall with color combinations and those themes. But generally speaking, that's what I can share with you at this time.
I see. Thank you for sharing that. And have you been also working with some school on getting the hand to some teachers at different school setting so far?
Yeah, actually, we work with a number of different maker spaces. And in particular, there's an ISD, a school district in the south side of San Antonio that we work with that has a maker space. And they feature the toy. And so recently they had an engineering fair.
Oh,
and
okay.
We participated at that together. Tessa was a volunteer and I was there as well. And so the director there featured a challenge, so to speak, for these engineering students. And they would win a prize if they could come up with the best game. And so we got quite a bit of video footage, for example, showing the kids play with them, play with the toys, showing the kids engaging with one another in the process of doing that, coming up with the rules, writing those down, presenting those to myself and so forth. So there's lots of examples of that as well.
I see. Do you have the best one you have in mind to that effort? What kind of game has people have come up with? Any other type?
Yeah, there's a lot of great simple games. You can spin the toy and whoever's is the last one spinning wins, right? That's probably the simplest one. But there's also some pretty advanced ones as well. There's this idea that you can bounce the toy and catch the toy. And depending on the complexity of the catch, earn points. So for example, I've seen adults bounce the toy off the floor, catch it in two pieces in one hand. And to me, that's super, super talented to do that. And we imagine that not only could you come up with games to do that, you could compete and get good at doing that, right? But you could be in a tournament, for example, and showcase your talent and win prizes for that.
I see. I see. Okay. Thank you for sharing that as
Sure.
well. And I want to switch a little bit of focus to marketing the product and what kind of marketing have you tried so far? Because the product is very unique. It's very different than some of the other toys that you have seen in the marketplace right now. What are some of the strategy you have tried so far to really get the product into like potential customers' hands?
We started out on Etsy. We wanted to be in a marketplace that we thought was more boutique and give us an opportunity to learn about how it's perceived, how it matches up and compares to other toys, and especially desk toys. And so not really having a real good feel for how the public would react to it. That turned out to be a really good choice for us. From there, we moved into developing our own website, listing those on that platform, Squarespace in particular. We also moved to TikTok. There was some challenges there in the past few months, and also working forward to being on bigger platforms. The plan is to be on Amazon, for example.
I see. Thank you for sharing that. And
Sure.
On the TikTok side, definitely TikTok is also a growing platform. And have you tried a lot of influencer marketing for the brand so far as well?
Yeah, actually, we're looking at individuals that can help us do that. More fundamentally, we're trying to build our social media perspective and for example, working with Instagram and Facebook. So we're still dialing in exactly what our segment is. We're still early on. We just began at the beginning of this year. And so the idea is influencers certainly could receive the toy, play with the toy, show us how the toy can be played with. And there are companies out there that actually aggregate that, provide a tool for us to use, an app that we could go and search for those influencers that I think are best tailored for us, that have the largest followings, and we could engage them to go forward with those kind of approaches as well.
Yeah. And back to the product a little bit, because it is a ball-shaped product, and I think there's a lot of different games that's also involved with a ball concept, but I think the material you use is a little bit different than most of the other type of ball games. But I believe a lot of ball games usually involve reaction time, teamwork, and coordination. How does the Taji Toys tap into some of the elements because of the ball shape?
Yeah, let me talk about that a little bit, and then I think Tessa can chime in as well. So it's made out of polycarbonate, so it's really tough and durable. That's one of the things that parents really appreciate about it is it doesn't break on the first day of them playing with it. But it'll last a long time. We anticipate it lasting for years potentially. And also this idea of the ball is a point of focus in a game. So like soccer and those are the most popular games in the world. That it makes for a very predictable experience. Balls tend to roll and go in where you would expect them to go. And as such, they really are engaging, and they help kids with hand-eye coordination, with flexibility and strength as they play with one another, and their social skills specifically. And so learning how to win and lose, a lot of those principles that come from more advanced play. So those are some of the things I can just touch on right at the top, but the toy definitely has the potential to do that and does that in gameplay.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that as well. And I know the whole brand and the whole concept of the toys is really involved around the concept of yin and yang. And can you also talk about a little bit about why do you decide to choose that theme, and how does that connect it with the customer that will be also using, and the kids that will be using the product?
So I think that represents balance and interconnectedness and some of the things that resonate for kids inherently, but they don't maybe think about them in a more literal way. I think, for example, when we talk to them, we say it's about balance, it's about interconnectedness, it's interrelated, right? And they're like, sure, whatever that means, right? But I think when you bring it more closely to them and you say things like, it's like night and day, it's the duality themes that come up with good and bad, and there's the idea of male and female. It really opens up their mind, and a little bit to the degree that they're holding that toy in their hand. It's three-dimensional. It's material. It's something they can play with. It serves as a mnemonic in that regard, right? And the instructors here can speak to that. So I'm going to hand it over to you and have you kind of explain more.
The shape, the ball, it allows for the player to create any type of game, as we've discussed. And these games that you can match them, you can roll them, you could throw them, you can catch them, you can build on them. And those categories can be put towards and tweaked to any age category. So I've given these to 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds, and I've seen adults play with them like we've talked about. This type of play not only allows for the physical growth, but also the physiological growth of people of all ages. And I think that really ties into the idea and the concept for the toy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. And as you are also embarking in the toy and game industry, what are some of the biggest struggle that you have been facing in the process of growing the business so far that you would like to also share with the audience, and how do you overcome the challenges that you face?
So some of the biggest challenges for me is how long it took, for example, to bring the toy to market. Okay. That was a long process, but because I'm determined, it's okay. It worked out. Specifically, finding and marketing is, again, for me, it's a learning experience.
Yeah.
And finding that the right connecting piece for me is yet to really fall into place. And so that's my biggest hurdle or my challenge at this time, to start to drive more interest, more sales, and really get rolling, so to speak, in terms of a revenue stream. So I mean, that's something I think that everyone experiences to some degree. I think there are the outliers. We saw some of those at Toy Fest. There's some exciting things that are happening with regards to 3D printing and toys that are being made, the mobiles and whatnot. So that's really helpful to see them succeed and understand what their models are. But anything else, when you have something new, and while it may be universal in its appeal and it may be iconic, even if it's novel, which in this case we believe it is, it doesn't mean that it's successful. It means that a lot of the business principles that go into marketing and connecting with the group, there's no reason that it necessarily would be appealing to anyone other than me as the person that has the brainchild, right? This idea that they want to express. But I will say this, that it's a toy in search of a market, and I'm determined to find it. I know it exists. There's a lot of people in the world. It's just a matter of finding that pathway.
I see. Thank you for sharing.
I'm determined. It's the sort of the art of the possible. I assume it's there. It's kind of field of dreams. If I build it, they will come, kind of thing.
Yeah, but obviously that's also very important. But you also want to make sure they know you are there, and that's why marketing is obviously very important. But as we are wrapping up today's interview, the final question I always like to ask our guests is, if you have to share one piece of advice with someone that's just getting started within the toys and game industry, what would that be?
So I have a saying that I quote from Crazy Horse, which is, it's like, how do I say this? It's like a great vision, right? It's like the eagle seeks the deepest blues in the sky. That's what I'm doing, is it's the challenge for me is to find those deepest blues in the sky and ultimately realize that vision that I have, but to just being determined and engaged and pursuing that. So for me, that's the challenge. And that's why I get up in the morning. One of the reasons I get up and I do what I do. So it's just, thank you very much for having us on today. I hope to keep a connection and move forward. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for joining us on the podcast and share some of your story and your experience within the toys and game industry. For our audience, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Toy Business Unboxed podcast. We really hope you have enjoyed today's conversation and find it insightful and also inspiring. If you like what you have heard, be sure to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform so you never miss an episode. We really appreciate your support and would love it if you can leave us a review and share the podcast with your friend and colleague. For more resource tips and the latest update within the toys and game industry, visit our website at toys-launch.com, join the conversation and connect with us on social media using hashtag ToyBusinessUnboxed. We'd love to hear your feedback and suggestions for future episodes. Until next time, keep innovating, keep creating, keep bringing joys to toys. This is Jason Shea signing off on the Toy Business Unboxed podcast. I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you so much, everyone.